But let's go ahead and get started, and let's focus on the idea of experiential induction. Because I know that everybody here has done hypnotic inductions. We know how to guide somebody through a process of relaxation or of visualization or of eye fixation. We all know basic strategies and maybe even advanced strategies and methods of doing hypnotic induction. But ever since moving into my office here, I've tried to be a lot more experiential. So when I ran the Tulsa Hypnosis Center for a number of years, I really got in a regular routine of doing things and doing things my way. My way is a pretty good way. And my clients were very responsive. But I found myself when I had 6 or 7 or 8 clients in a day, even becoming perhaps a little bit bored with some of the things that I was doing. And so I decided that not only for my clients' benefits, but for me also, I wanted to become more experiential. So I really began to look at new inductions and new strategies of inducing trance, not only to alleviate, again, some of my own boredom, but even what you said last night, which is what do we do in the 3rd or the 4th or the 5th or the 6th or the 7th session with a client other than the same induction that we've done multiple times? It becomes interesting for them. It also becomes more engaging. So when I closed the Tulsa Hypnosis Center and moved to Las Vegas, as I was saying earlier, I had a couple of throat surgeries. I couldn't speak. I couldn't see clients. So I took almost 2 years off before I reopened the office again. And when I reopened the office, it gave me the opportunity to use all of those ideas that I had brainstormed and strategized during those years that I was not seeing clients. And so here in my office, I've been a lot more experiential. Now, there's a difference between experiential and experimental, although I think some of this is actually an experiment. I've been incorporating video, I've been incorporating sound, I've been incorporating aromatherapy and scent. I've been incorporating a number of different aspects into not only the hypnotic induction itself, but really all aspects of working with clients. And I want to share with you today, this morning, some of those things that I've been doing that I think can be truly helpful to you. As I said, everybody here knows how to do a basic hypnotic induction, and I've heard you do it. You do it very well. And I'm sure you do yours very well also. But having some ways of engaging clients from the very beginning through the entire process, using experiential approaches that are multisensorial, that use sight, sound, even touch. One of the things that I bought for the office here, I actually bought 2 of them. The office is too small for both of them, so one of them remains at my house. You've had the chance to sit in it. And that is my fancy deluxe massage chairs. And I thought to myself, how would you incorporate, a sensorial experience of touch with clients? I've never been a big fan of touching my clients. There are inductions where, we arm flop them and we, touch them on the shoulder and press against their hand and all kinds of hypnotic inductions that touch clients. And I've never been a big fan of touching clients. I like my personal space. And I find that many of my clients want their personal space as well. So how can we incorporate some of those things into hypnotic induction? One of the ways of doing that is by integrating some of those tools that are available to us. Now, one of the criticisms when I started posting some of these thoughts in the internet forum, by the way, my group is on Facebook. It's got about 5,500 members. Are you a member of that group, the ICBCH group?
I'm not sure whether I am or not.
Okay.
I will check.
The easiest way to get to it is icbchgroup.com, and it's really a great resource. There's about 5,500 members, and it's on Facebook. And so I often post things that I'm doing and thoughts, and other people do. There's 5,500 members of the group. So lots of people post questions, or lots of people post thoughts, and these become, ways for us to really learn from each other, which is actually pretty cool. And I actually think it's probably one of the most well-moderated internet groups. I have a great team of people. Kelly Woods is one of those people who moderates that group, along with Aaron Little and James Hazelrig and a few other people. And so it's really a great group. So when I began posting some of these things I was doing, the most common criticism I got was, "Oh, Richard, that's completely unnecessary. You don't need anything other than just hypnosis. You're getting away from pure hypnosis. You're bringing all these tricks into place." Well, the reality is I have gotten away from pure hypnosis. I've tried to integrate a lot of things that other hypnotists to this point have probably not integrated into their office. And the result for my clients has been phenomenal. Let me give you one of those examples. This is an example probably that has been adopted by more people than any other approach, but I only use headphones with my clients. When I work with clients, they sit in my chair, and when I do my hypnosis session with them, they put on headphones, and I speak to them with a microphone. And when I speak to them with a microphone, through the headphones, they hear me right in the center of their mind. Embedded in that sound file, in addition to my voice, are binaural tones. Most often delta level brainwave frequencies. So this is a song, not really a song, sounds that they're hearing in the background, relaxing sounds, the ocean waves, gentle piano music, very nondescript background music, but embedded as a theta level binaural tone. Now, without getting into all the aspects of brainwave entrainment and turning this into a brainwave entrainment class, the simple answer here is that, have you ever been at a restaurant or in your car or at home and there's some music playing and you find that you're tapping along with it, right? Suddenly you realize, well, I'm tapping along with Barry Manilow, or I'm tapping along with B.J. Thomas, raindrops keep falling on my head, right? And you're just tapping along. We are sort of trained to become entrained, unified with the sounds in the world around us. This is why when I'm in my car driving, you'll notice it, if I'm not listening to news, which I try not to do, but I'm a news junkie, so I tend to still do it, I'm listening to the Spa channel on XM radio. And my theory is that the easiest way to be a calmer driver is not to listen to Poison, AC/DC, and Slayer, but instead to listen to the Spa channel. So that's the most common music channel that I listen to when I'm driving in my car, is the Spa channel. So everyone else in rush hour is all stressed out, and they're listening to Golden Earring. Got my hands on the wheel, and they're ready to go, and I'm listening to the Spa channel. I'm not a driver with road rage. As a matter of fact, I may now actually be the jerk who's in front of you going the posted speed limit. The one that you're tailgating and you're upset because you can't be mad at me because I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and that is listening to the Spa channel and being a pretty calm driver. So music has a profound impact on us. And I like to use music that entrains my client to a trance state. So the theta level of brainwave functioning is a state of really deep trance. It's not a state of sleep, but it is a state of deep relaxation, about 4 or 5 hertz. And when my clients are listening to the headphones with some background music, what's happening here is they are essentially, their brain is tapping along to the tones of 4 hertz and syncing them to a state of deep relaxation. Now, I began doing headphones and using binaural tones in 2006 when I opened up the Tulsa Hypnosis Center. To that point, I had never done a hypnosis session with headphones. And I had a client, he was a runner, and he came to my new office. I opened up a new office in 2006. He was my first client in the new office. I even had new furniture. In fact, he sat on that new furniture, even though now it's 14-year-old furniture, right? And he came in and he sat down, and I did my session with him. And when he left, he said, boy, that was really great. I'm really glad that I came here. This was so awesome. It's going to help me to achieve my goals. But I was stressed out the entire time that I did the session. And the reason why is, although my new office was wonderful and beautiful and the perfect space, because I had never seen a client before, I didn't realize that because I was on the front of the building, right next to the street, people were honking, UPS trucks were pulling into the parking lot, people were walking into the door next to my office, mistaking it for the office on the other side of the building they were looking for, and there was a lot of background noise. Now, we can in hypnosis simply give the suggestion, and every noise that you hear will simply reaffirm that you're in exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to be doing, and it won't disturb you or alert you. In fact, it'll actually help you to go deeper into trance and to benefit even more from this session. I can give that suggestion, and I'm certain that I gave it to that athlete who I was working with in that session. But when the session was over, I immediately went to Guitar Center. And I said, hey, I'm a hypnotist, and I want to talk in a microphone to somebody who's sitting in my chair wearing headphones, and I'm going to need to be able to hear it also, so I need 2 headphones, and I need a microphone, and I need a way to mix music into it so they can listen to a background file. And Guitar Center set me up with a whole audio system, and they sold me a ton of stuff. And a couple of years later, I found that carrying around a ton of stuff was sort of a hassle, and cables got confusing. By then, I had learned enough about sound to realize that I could just use a karaoke machine. You can buy a karaoke machine for $60. You got a microphone, music, give them headphones, and bam, solution solved. So in my office over here, I actually have a professional karaoke machine. It's about a $550 karaoke machine. It's one a DJ at a bar might use. But what this has allowed me to do in my induction and during my sessions is to use tools that are outside of traditional hypnosis to really help my clients achieve a deeper level of trance and to benefit from the work that I do. So here's the question for us in the notes. How can we conceptualize a more interesting and engaging way of doing hypnotic convincers, inductions, and deepeners? One way for me has been to use headphones. And one of the other things that this does is this sort of creates a special experience for them. I'm a believer that many times change or hypnosis creates change because it's a ritual. Ritual is really powerful, really, it's important, or, the Catholic Church wouldn't have lasted for 2,000 years, and, Judaism wouldn't have lasted for, 5,000 years, and Buddhism wouldn't have lasted for 7,000 years. The reality is ritual is very important to us, and my clients have picked the ritual of hypnosis to mark the beginning of their change. And because this is the ritual that they've selected, I should make that special for them. Now, I'm not going to use smoke and incense and Latin prayers. That would be a little weird, although that is a way of inducing trance. So instead, I use headphones and a microphone and binaural tones and theta level brainwave files because it creates a ritual for my client. All of their problems are 1,000 miles away. You've listened to music with headphones on. Remember when the Sony Walkman came out in 1981? You got one, it was so cool. You put the cassette in there, you could listen to Billy Joel, and he was better. He was better with the headphones. It's not that Billy Joel isn't awesome without the headphones when you hear him in the background at a bar or somewhere else, but when you have the headphones on, it creates a special experience. So, of all of the things that I do to create a special experience and make hypnosis more effective and interesting, that's probably the number one thing that I do. By the way, there's a blog on subliminalscience.com. Go to subliminalscience.com blogs. It actually is a blog post I made that actually shows all of the equipment that I currently use, as well as all of the equipment that I used to use, in case you want to piece it together that way. And it shares with you the brand of headphones and the microphones I use and everything else. So that's one way, and a lot of hypnotists have adapted that. But I still get the hypnotists who say, why would you do that? All you need are your spoken word and a client in a room with nothing around you. Well, it's true. I can do hypnosis in a plain room with no art, no furniture, and no nothing, and just my voice and their attention. But if I have the opportunity to make it special, I should make it special. You would have thought.
Yeah, you could create a meditation tape that way too, couldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. In almost all of the hypnosis recordings that I do, I take great care to use music that is at, they say the music we prefer most is about 114 to 125 beats per minute. I almost always embed a sound file with with 60 beats per minute of heart rate. Here's the interesting thing about sound. Sound is a vibration. It is a sound wave. So when I put a recording up on my software, I actually see the sound wave. And the cool thing about sound is because it is a wave, it's actually not something we hear. It's actually something we feel. It goes to the core of who we are. The eardrum, the receiver for what is hearing, is literally like a drum, a conduit for interpreting the waves. So sound really is at one level a kinesthetic experience. You've all been to a movie where they have the movie in surround sound, and in surround sound, that movie is so powerful. You know, the earthquake, you can feel the car crash. You can feel the explosion that you're hearing. And so sound is very powerful. So we can incorporate sound, and many hypnotists do that. In my office here, though, I've been incorporating sight. So in my office, I have a big 60-inch TV that's about 3 feet away. I mean, it's directly in front of the chair that my clients are sitting in. And I can do an entire session with visual imagery and eyes open. I have some sessions that I've created like that. But instead of doing that for the entire session, with most of my clients, I've now created probably about 20 different short clips that are experiences or really hypnotic convincers. And these are things that I can show them. Well, I could just talk to them. I could do the pre-talk like I've always done before without a TV. I've never had a TV in my office until this year. And so for many years I did hypnosis without a TV, and it worked out just fine. But again, like music, like sound, why not use visual imagery? Have you ever been to a movie and it is cinematographic, it is beautiful, and you look at the fantastic camera work and you look at the beautiful imagery, and it creates a feeling. And I want my clients to be able to create a feeling. So I'm going to share with you in this part of the class a technique called the middle of nowhere. So I've actually created a background video file of the middle of nowhere, so that as I'm speaking the words in hypnosis, their eyes are actually open and they're simply watching the images on TV. They can close their eyes if they want to, but it's a great way of giving my clients options and an experience that's a little bit different. So we can use sight as well. We can even use tactile experiences, a massage chair at a low vibration, a sound file that creates vibration. One of the things that I really appreciate about Milton Erickson was a line that he used in a session that was actually videotaped many years ago in the 1950s. And as he was doing the hypnotic induction, the lady who he was working with was just sort of touching the fabric of her pants or skirt or whatever she was wearing. And he said to her, as you are brailing the fabric of your slacks, notice the feeling of the fabric against the fingertip. Something along those lines. It's not a word-for-word quote. But of all the things I've learned about Milton Erickson, that's the one thing that struck me as perhaps more important than just about anything else, using what's truly available to create an experience. And he created a connection and an attention point simply between fabric and a fingertip. Because I use a recliner, my clients generally prefer to recline. I don't require it, but I let them know they can recline, and probably 80% of them choose to recline and kick their feet up on the little footstool. So as my clients are in the induction phase and their eyes are closed, I will point out to them the tactile experiences they have. And I will say something along the lines of, and as you continue to relax, notice the way. It's amazing how many people sort of sit with their legs crossed in the recliner, right? So one ankle is over the other ankle. It's a common position for the recliner. So I will say to a person, because they've now been sitting like this for 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, I will say to them, and feel the weight of your right shoe as it is suspended in midair. That's something that's going on, because it's their left shoe that's actually touching the recliner, right? And you can even feel the weight of the left shoe on your foot, almost as if it's weightless because it's supported by the chair. Well, that's an observation I made of how many of my clients were sitting, and I've tried to bring into an induction experience just what's going on with them, and using a tactile way of doing that, something that addresses the kinesthetic experience they have. I like to set the stage with props and tools for explanation. Again, whether that's a video or more recently posters. So I'm going to share with you later on a poster I bought. It's George Seurat, Sunny Day at the Park, and I've been using that for eye fixation and hypnotic induction. I think we can make our inductions more interesting by creating active processes rather than passive processes in our induction. And the easiest way to do that is with fractionation. The easiest way to do that is with fractionation. So my clients, more often than not, will open their eyes and close their eyes probably 5 to 7 times during the course of a hypnosis session. Most hypnotists, especially new hypnotists, they're so happy when they get to the eye closure because now they don't have to worry about it. And they keep the eyes closed the whole time. But I want my clients to experience the process. And so here's how I sort of use the idea of fractionation. Before we even get to the hypnotic furniture, when I'm doing the pre-talk with my clients, one of the first things that I'll do is, because they'll ask me, what does hypnosis feel like? And I'll say, this is easy. Go ahead, close your eyes. In fact, do that right now. Go ahead, close your eyes. Close your eyes, and I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Hypnosis feels exactly like that. It feels like your eyes are closed and you're sitting there and somebody's talking to you. It's not a magical or mystical state. And this is a great and simple, and sometimes kind of funny explanation of how hypnosis feels like, because people think it's going to be like Hollywood. They're going to be a mindless drone and lose consciousness. And I want them to know what to expect. They should expect that they will be sitting there and I will be speaking to them and their eyes will be closed. And that it's going to feel exactly like this. I try to normalize the hypnosis process. Now, even though I only counted 1 through 5, that was our first eyes closed and open experience. With almost all of my clients, I teach them a basic strategy in mindfulness before I ever go to the hypnotic furniture. So I'm doing my pre-talk at the desk and I'll say to them, I want to teach you a basic strategy in mindfulness before we go any further. And mindfulness is all about being able to focus on the present moment. I work with a lot of clients with anxiety. And anxious clients tend to either regret and dwell on the past or worry about whether their past is going to catch up to them, or they're projecting into the future all the what ifs and the possible catastrophic outcomes that could happen, but they're missing the present moment. And so by helping my client to practice staying in the present, I'm helping my clients to realize mindfulness. And there are zillions of journal articles that show that mindfulness is an effective strategy. It's also something we can bring into hypnotic induction or even use as part of our hypnotic suggestion. So before we go to the hypnotic furniture, I give them a 2-minute lesson or strategy in mindfulness. And so a lot of people think that if they can't be hypnotized or meditate because they're going to keep on thinking. Right? What if I can't still my mind or quiet my thoughts? Like a fish swims in water. Fish doesn't know it's in water because it's always in water. A world without water is not something a fish knows. We are literally swimming not in water but in our thoughts. That's what people do. So I explained to my client that it's impossible not to have a thought. That during the hypnosis experience, they will be thinking. The idea here, though, is not to follow a thought, not to become enmeshed with a thought. And this is what causes us problems in life. We become enmeshed with the thought that I have to have a cigarette, or I must eat dessert before I go to bed, or I have to chase cars, or I have to experience a panic attack, right? Or whatever idea our clients have become enmeshed with. They think one thing, or they feel one thing, or they sense one thing, and they follow it. This is rumination. And so in order to help my clients focus on the present, I let them know that the idea of mindfulness is literally to practice. The value is in practicing because then it becomes automatic. When you have a thought or a feeling or a sensation, use that as a cue, not to follow it and begin to worry or obsess, but instead to bring your attention back to the moment. When my clients can do that, that's just really powerful. Let's just take weight loss and cigarette smoking. My client who was afraid that they would have withdrawal and crave a cigarette can see that a thought is just a thought and bring their attention back to the present. And as long as they're breathing clean air, they're not smoking. My client who's trying to lose weight, who has a thought, I'm hungry, that means I need something fast, can see that that is just a thought or a physical sensation and bring their attention back to the present. And they can realize this is just part of the digestive process and go on. So I teach my clients mindfulness, and the way I do that is I have them close their eyes. Go ahead and close your eyes down. And pay attention to your breath. Each breath marks each moment. And continue to pay attention to the breath. The reason why in mindfulness we often pay attention to the breath is because we've been breathing since the first day of life. And we'll continue to breathe until the last day of life. So we always have our breath with us. And I'll give you a moment of silence. And in this moment of silence, anytime you have a thought or a sensation or a feeling, rather than following it, use it as a cue to return your attention back to the breath. And I'll give you 30 seconds right now. And ideally, our clients are actually practicing this, noticing a thought or a sensation or a feeling, and bringing their attention back during this time. Because if I'm quiet for 30 seconds, they're going to have a lot of thoughts and a lot of feelings and a lot of sensations, because like a fish has a lot of water, people have a lot of thoughts. When 30 seconds is up, that's about 30 seconds. I have them open their eyes, open your eyes. And I've never had a client yet say to me during the pre-talk, "Oh my gosh, Richard, that was magical. That was the most amazing experience I've ever had." Never once has a client said that to me. I say to them when they open their eyes, "How was that experience for you?" And they go, "Okay. I see that. I see how that could be helpful." Right? That's about as excited as they get. And I say, "Great." And I'm going to give you, when we leave here today, an MP3. You can listen to it. It's 2.5 minutes long, and you can just practice mindfulness each morning, each afternoon, and each evening. And what happens is my clients come in 3 weeks later, and they've been listening to this. They've been practicing every day. And they say, "Oh my gosh, Richard, this mindfulness stuff, it's crazy. I was in traffic." That's usually when I get really angry and smash into the car in front of me or flip people off, or, or speed or whatever else I do that's been causing me problems. And I noticed that instead of doing all of those things, I just took in a breath and I paid attention to how I felt right here and right now, and realized it wasn't that big a deal. Wow, this mindfulness stuff really works. So it's almost a delayed response. They see the value in it, months or weeks or months later sometimes. But what I've also done here is they've also closed their eyes and opened their eyes again before we ever got to the chair. Now we're done with the pre-talk, right? So we go over to the hypnotic furniture. They sit in the recliner. And when they're sitting in the recliner, now I'm going to do my hypnotic induction, and I may use fractionation. I've already closed and opened the eyes twice. I may use fractionation 3 or 4 times in the induction. And what this does is it creates an active process. One of the ways I might do that, most hypnotists use what's called passive progressive muscle relaxation. With your eyes closed, unclench the jaw, let your eyelids relax, drop your shoulders, let the muscles in your arms relax, let any tension you hold and any muscles in your back or your belly, your buttocks or your thighs, let it simply melt away, loose and limp like a rag doll, all the way down to the toes. So there's obviously a super quick version of a progressive muscle relaxation. But that's all passive. By passive, you're talking to a person and there's no engagement here. So I like to use active progressive muscle relaxation, or at least mix it up. So the one thing my clients might do is they might hold their hands and hold that tension and then relax, noticing the difference. And I might even guide them through passive relaxation. Go ahead, close your eyes, let your muscles relax the brow, the jaw, blah, 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 blah. Now bring your attention to your hands. So go ahead and open your eyes. With your eyes open, hold your hands like this. I can show them then because their eyes are open. And hold that tension and now relax them. Wow, notice how relaxed they are. Do it again. And open them up again, and you'll notice you've doubled the relaxation. Now I've engaged them at some level in a tactile experience. We're making eye contact. I'm showing them how it's done. And now go ahead and close your eyes down again. I may go through the rest of the induction. I might even get to a single white puffy cloud visualization, leisurely and lazily floating across the sky. Now I'm at the end of my induction. It's at that point that both mind and body are completely relaxed. And now go ahead and open your eyes for a minute. Open your eyes, take in a breath. They usually have a smile on their face. It feels pretty good, doesn't it? There's a very Ericksonian leading question. Yes, it does. Great. This is the resource state that we call hypnosis. It's not something I've done to you. It's something that you've created by coming here today to this office. So go ahead and close the eyes down one more time. Deeper. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Right? So I've really used fractionation to create an engaged process with our clients. So one of the reasons why hypnotists tend to not do these things is because we have a mistaken belief, and that belief is that the induction is actually something I get through so that I can get to the good stuff. Unfortunately, too many hypnosis training programs, I think, have taught magical techniques. In other words, oh my gosh, you have to do the flipper switcher NLP pattern, or you have to do the regression and find their cause, or you have to after you get them really deep, you have to get them super duper double triple somnambulistic. You have to get them to a coma state or an Esdale state so that they have a complete hypnotic amnesia and hypnotic anesthesia, and it's as if they're in a cocoon and they're nowhere, and it's at this deepest part of the subconscious mind that then they can access everything and life is wonderful. And so the whole idea in most hypnosis training programs is let's get through the induction so we can get to whatever super duper, super secret special technique is going to solve all their problems. I think that's actually a backwards way of thinking.
That was one of the great things. I went
Right.
and had training in NLP from Richard Bandler.
Sure.
And one of the great things that he said, and he kept saying it over and over again, was, I made this stuff up.
There you go. Absolutely.
So it pretty much says,
Right. You can do whatever you want to. Exactly. Which is why NLP programs seem to only teach what Bandler taught. They don't look for new exemplars and new models. And I think that NLP training that looks towards the future and says, who else can we model? Are the NLP programs that are really most effective. John Soriano is an NLP trainer for the ICBCH. He's really good at creating and making up new techniques that truly benefit clients, integrating EFT, the emotional freedom technique, and other strategies that are experiential into the suggestive therapy. But induction isn't something we get through so we get to the good stuff. If we do induction correctly, the induction itself is the good stuff. It actually taught very specific skills. I did a presentation in 2007 for the American Counselors Association, and I called it Skill Building Hypnosis. And all I taught was a one-day class for counselors who weren't hypnotists, and all I taught them was induction, deepener, and reorientation. I didn't teach them anything else. And the next year when I went back to the convention, many people who were in that class said, wow, Richard, this was so helpful. I've been using this with my anxiety clients, my eating disorder clients, the other clients who I'm working with, and it's just been really powerful. So good induction teaches the skill of relaxation. It teaches the skill of being able to focus your attention. It teaches the skill of self-soothing. There are so many things that can be taught. The other thing induction does is it creates compliance. People forget that induction needs to be a certain amount of time because we want them to follow certain processes. I want them to follow, go ahead and close your eyes down. Right? If they don't close their eyes down now, they're not going to close their eyes down later. Go ahead, drop the shoulders, relax the muscles in the shoulders. If they don't do that, they're not going to stop smoking or stop overeating or improve their outlook or whatever they came to you for. They're not going to follow those suggestions. So our induction really is a series of tests of compliance. This says why our induction has to be interactive. Induction also creates belief about hypnosis, the belief that I can be hypnotized, and a belief of what that state feels like. So many clients really struggle with the Oprahfication or the Hollywoodization of what hypnosis feels like. A magical and mystical state of, I don't know, remember the movie in the 1980s? It was called Altered States. There was a poster, right, of, like blue blood coursing through somebody's green veins with, electroshocks. I don't remember what the movie was about, but I remember the movie poster, and, the TV ad had this dramatic, sort of ECT, like, electrical pulse through the body thing. And people really do think that hypnosis is going to feel fantastical. And it can feel fantastical, but it often feels very normal. And so I want to use the process of induction to normalize it so when my client is done, they understand that they were hypnotized. I tell my clients in the induction, you may listen to each and every word that I use, paying attention very closely to what I say throughout the entire session, choosing to listen to and follow the words that I suggest. Remaining in a light level of trance, always observant and aware, and that's good. Or you might find yourself paying attention to every third or fifth or seventh word, or even at some point in the hypnosis session, wondering why they're no longer listening to me and if that matters. Choosing not to listen to the process, but to experience the process instead. And either way is fine. In fact, you might even find yourself at various points in the session experiencing it at various levels. Now I've taken the pressure of trance depth off of my client. They now know that they can be at any level of trance and respond. Induction is also something that bypasses the critical factor. So the best example of this is, yes sets, right? Would you like to be a better hypnotist? Yes. Okay. Would you like to learn a really cool induction today that I use called the 32 Doors Induction? Yes. Okay. Would you like to experience and actually go into hypnosis this morning? Yes. Right? So yes, yes, yes. So I'm always looking for ways to gain compliance, because if you agree you want to learn, you agree you want to experience, you agree that you want to benefit from it, then you can agree, when I give you the hypnotic suggestion, since you're a hypnotist, that you're going to use these skills to benefit and help other people. What are you going to do? You're going to use these skills to benefit other people. You're going to do it with confidence. You're going to act on the suggestions. So induction, you and I have talked a lot about confidence in the last couple of months, right? Induction is a way of bypassing the critical factor, that part of you that says, well, maybe I'm not good at this, or maybe I don't know everything I need to know to do this, or maybe I'm not going to do it right? That's the critical mind. That's the conscious mind getting in the way of really the brilliant subconscious learnings that you've had over the last 40 years of working in schools. Induction fully immerses and engages a client. By that I mean they come into a special place, they put on special headphones, they hear special words, they follow a special process, and they go on from here to accomplish great things. Induction is what provides that for them, and it moves a client physically, emotionally, metaphysically into a process, an experience of ritual, so that when we're done with the session, they say, wow, that was incredible. So a lot of hypnotists want to take a before and after picture of their weight loss clients. I actually want to take them before and after, but I don't, but I want to. Before and after each session. I see clients who come in for their first session and they look horrible. Their skin is bad, their eyes are sad, their affect is, if I was a metaphysical person and could see auras, I'd probably see doom and gloom, right? Remember, what was it, Pigsty from the Peanuts, right? Remember that guy? I can't remember. It was Pigpen, right? He would walk around and you'd see sort of that cloud of pigness around him, right? And again, the same thing. My clients have that when they come into my office, this sort of affect and aura, and it affects them physically. And when they come in my office and I do my first hypnosis session, maybe we haven't solved every one of the world's problems for them yet. But when they leave that first session, they leave with a sense of power, and it's truly helpful to them. So how can we induce trance? When we do a hypnotic induction, what ways can we use to induce trance? Somebody once said we should not do progressive muscle relaxation because it's boring. Guess what? Boredom is a way of inducing trance. It works. Have you ever been bored to death or bored in a class and you've daydreamed your way into something much more interesting than what the professor was talking about? We've all had that experience at one point or another in life. Boredom produces trance. We can utilize boredom as a therapeutic technique. It's not something we have to avoid. Loss of equilibrium. Now, to some extent, this is what movies do. You see a movie on the screen and the car rolls or whatever, that producer of that movie or director of that movie is trying to get you to engage your experience. Now, stage hypnotists might use a loss of equilibrium with a rapid induction or an instant induction or something like that. But we can actually create experiences where my clients at least have confusion about equilibrium. And remember, they're sitting in my chair, so it's one way of doing it. Shock. An instant induction. When the stage hypnotist yells, sleep, right? I don't use a lot of shock inductions in my office, but I had one client, he did great. He came in 3 days later and he hadn't smoked. And I said, well, you look fantastic. I can tell you haven't smoked. Congratulations. Because I can tell if they smoked or not when they come back for that second session. And he said, yeah, but I'm not happy about it. I said, what do you mean you're not happy about it? He said, well, I'm not sure if I was really hypnotized. I think I just quit. It's just a coincidence here. He couldn't quit for 30 years, and suddenly I didn't hypnotize him, but he hasn't smoked since. So, but I find it easier to create the experience they want than to argue with them. So I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, if I just felt hypnotized, then I'd know this would last forever. Oh my gosh, he turned out to be the greatest client I ever had. I said, great, then instead of going to the comfortable furniture, instead of doing a 30-minute session, I have good news for you. I'm also a stage hypnotist. I'm going to have you sit here in this chair. Our session is going to be about 5 minutes, and you're never going to smoke again. That's a direct suggestion. He said, really? I said, yeah. And I did John Cerbone's butterfly speed trance induction, sleep, loss of equilibrium, right? And I gave him the suggestions that he wanted. I had him open his eyes and sit up in the chair. By the way, he was a doctor. He still is a doctor. And for the next 10 years, he sent me more referrals than anybody else. So sometimes people say, how do you get medical referrals? Hypnotize the right doctors. Have them as your clients. Help them find success for their own issues, and they will happily refer you a lifetime supply of clients. Eye fixation. Eye fixation not only induces trance because of a physical effect of ocular fatigue, but also because it focuses, it takes us out of our misery trance and puts us into a pointless trance. A pointless trance focusing on a point. And that in and of itself is a powerful pattern interrupt. Relaxation is a valid and useful technique for inducing hypnotic trance. And I love relaxation, even though it does not impress other hypnotists at a hypnosis convention. And the reason why I love progressive muscle relaxation and other forms of relaxation inductions is because nobody's ever afraid of it. They can follow the directions. I've never had anybody say, wait a minute, you just told me to relax. Let me ask you a question. Is this when the devil steals my soul? I've never had that yet. And so it becomes, it becomes a, relaxation is something 99.999% of the world not only needs to learn, but is very comfortable learning. Confusion. I love bringing confusion into hypnotic inductions. Let's say I'm going to do an arm levitation. Bring your attention to one of your hands right now. It doesn't matter if your attention is focused on the left hand, that being the right choice for you, or whether your attention is focused on the right hand, leaving only one hand left. Either way is fine. Linguistic confusion. I could even confuse roles. Role confusion is a great way of doing hypnotic trance. You are doing so good relaxing right now, it's almost as if you have become the hypnotist, letting yourself go to the next level even before I give you the words to suggest what you can possibly experience. In fact, I might even just relax with you and enjoy this trance that you're creating. I just flipped hypnotist and hypnosis role. That's confusion induction. It's super powerful.
I have a client that might work with. She's one of those people I know her personally, and she's supposed to follow me somewhere.
Yes.
And so she took off first, so I said, the following thing doesn't work when you go first.
Right, exactly. So confusion inductions and role reversal confusion inductions are really great if you have a control freak client. It's kind of fun. We can use immersion, immersing them in an experience. That's what the audio does. That's what the sound does. Deprivation, by the way, is another way of inducing trance. Now, I'm not going to do aversion therapy and deprivation experiments, think World War II, with my clients in my office. But with some of my clients, I can use really the technique of trying to have them clear their mind. Now, it's an impossibility. We all know that. But to really set aside as much of the external world as possible, focusing on the internal world, which is why I love the nowhere technique, the middle of nowhere technique of Milton Erickson's. By the way, we can induce a hypnosis with chemicals. We're not going to be doing that in our office, but it's another way that physicians induce hypnosis. Take this pill, this opiate, this sedative hypnotic, right, and you will no longer experience pain at the level you had before. They give them the hypnotic suggestion, and they give them the chemical to do the induction, the deepener, and the suggestion, right? Dance, music, brainwave entrainment. Leonard Bernstein said that music is therapy. Fantasy. So one of the things that we can do with some of our clients is we can become really creative with them. Why is Dungeons and Dragons and why are video games, why do you hear of gamers playing video games for 20 hours a day? Because they become fully immersed in a fantasy. And for many people, fantasy is better than reality. So we can use fantasy, of course, in a video game, but there's no, they're just playing a video game then. Can we use fantasy in our office? Can we really use the creative part of the mind and have our clients become very immersed in an experience that they've created? Focus along with eye fixation or mental focus. This is what a mantra is. It's focusing on a word. Crisis can create trance. It interrupts their pattern, whether it's a negative crisis or even a positive crisis. A negative crisis is I can't get in an elevator again because I was stuck on an elevator. And now I'm afraid of elevators. A positive crisis pattern is this. Wow, I've been living my whole life afraid of elevators, and I didn't realize we were on the elevator, on an elevator, or I didn't realize I didn't have a choice but to take the elevator, say an airport security area or something, and it didn't break, and I did it. Wow, I could probably do that again. It wasn't as bad as I thought. Breath work. Think of yoga. You ever taken any yoga classes? Ever taken any yoga classes?
I actually haven't.
Okay. I love going to yoga. I haven't gone in a long time. And I love Bikram yoga. That's 105 degrees, 26 poses, 90 minutes. And I love it because it begins and ends with breath work. Now, I don't do a lot of teaching my clients yoga breath work in my hypnosis office. But with many of my clients, I simply teach them the right way to breathe. And that becomes very powerful for them. Mysticism, the metaphysical, a connection to the higher self or a spiritual component can bring about trance and hypnosis as well, as can simple visualizations. Imagine yourself in a wonderful place, a place you've been before, or a place you'd like to go, or even a place of your own creation, and bring yourself now. So with all of those ways to creatively enhance the induction process, I got to ask the question, why is it that most inductions still are, I will talk to you and you will listen? They're almost always dependent on nothing other than an auditory experience and a creative experience. Even in visualization with our clients, we're telling them to visualize, and they're using the creative part of the mind to construct that visualization. But if we have cinematography available to us, why are we not giving them a visualization? Why are we not bringing these things into the process? So what we actually need, I included my favorite cartoon here, we need more cowbell. Remember that skit from Saturday Night Live? right? It was Christopher Walken and a couple other people. And he was directing the band. He said, I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. That's what the band was supposed to play, more cowbell. And what we need in hypnosis, in our inductions really, is more cowbell. We need more fractionation. We need more dialogue where I'm interacting with a client. We need more demonstration. You know, I do this convincer, like this old stage hypnosis convincer. Go ahead, hold out your hands like this. Okay, hold your fingers apart. Stare at a spot between those fingers. Let those fingers be drawn together, a powerful magnet coming together closer and closer and closer, stuck together, so stuck that if you try to pull them apart, you can't pull them. I don't do that because it convinces them hypnosis is possible. I do that because it involves them in a process. It creates interaction. Whether their fingers actually come together or not is irrelevant to you got them to be doing something. And that's what's really important. We can use creativity and experience and just flat out interesting stuff. I think art is interesting. By the way, not all of my clients think art is interesting. Some people, if you said, let's go to an art museum, would be really bored with the whole idea of going to an art museum. But I shouldn't gear all of my sessions to the lowest common denominator of personal performance. So I try to bring in interesting things, whether it's quotes or poems or art. It was interesting. I posted an induction that I had done using a poem from J.R.R. Tolkien, however you say J.R.R. Tolkien. And somebody said, why would you be using that in hypnosis? I thought hypnosis, that's a freaking poem. Oh my gosh. Poetry is hypnotic. Ask any artist if their work is hypnotic. So let's bring interesting stuff into it. So the first technique I want to share with you is called the middle of nowhere technique. And this is actually in my book, Richard's Big Book of Hypnosis Scripts. And a lot of people have told me this is one of the most useful components of that book. It's only 2 or 3 paragraphs long. It's not a lengthy process. But it uses probably a combination of deprivation and focused attention and maybe even boredom to bring them into a deeper level of experience. So I'm going to go through this with you. I usually don't do this as just induction, but a lot of times people use this in suggestive therapy, but it can actually be used as the induction. So go ahead and close your eyes down. All right, so the middle of nowhere technique. Okay. Go ahead and close your eyes down. And with your eyes closed down, take in a breath. And we're going to speed up some elements of the induction here because you already know how to access that resource state that we call hypnosis. And so bring yourself to that resource state that you call hypnosis. You can unclench the jaw and drop the shoulders. You can even let go of the external thoughts, perhaps by focusing on that pen in your hands or what it feels like to have your hands rest next to each other on the lap. Or by choosing to really pay attention to you in this moment, to the breath, or to the weight of the necklace that you're wearing as it rests on your shirt, or the feeling of the iPad portion of your glasses that you usually don't pay much attention to, but seem to always leave a mark. And bring yourself now to this place where you are, and in the state of calmness, serenity, and relaxation. Bring yourself to that state where you learn best through experience. As you breathe in and out, you don't have to try to speed up or slow down the breath. Just breathe. And I'm going to count backwards from 5 to 1, with each number doubling the sensation of relaxation. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And this technique is, of course, called the middle of nowhere technique. And so as you relax, you can recognize that a part of you is here. You can feel the chair below you, with your eyes closed and your mind relaxed. But you can also see a part of you, or sense a part of you, or feel a part of you drifting away, drifting to a place that is really nowhere. In fact, to that place that we call the middle of nowhere, you can let your mind drift and even meet me in this place, a place that has no time, no space, in the middle of nowhere. It's a place that has my voice and your awareness, and a place that's neither here nor there, just a place of your own creation. In the middle of nowhere, there's no awareness of that which is distressing, but simply an awareness of the presence. In the middle of nowhere, nothing is just fine. There's nothing to be, nowhere to go, nothing to feel. Not even any feelings required to be felt in the middle of nowhere, and it's a pretty relaxing place to be, isn't it? And so, you've had a chance in this experience to disassociate from the place where you're sitting and go to that place of nowhere, paying attention to my voice, the chair below you, and now returning from the middle of nowhere back to that place where you're sitting. Now, of course, if I were going to then go into a deepener and a hypnosis session, I could go in from there. But I can tell, because neither of you have opened your eyes yet, that it feels pretty awesome to just be in the middle of nowhere. So any resource states that you can take from this place and bring back to your present awareness, bring them back with you and open your eyes, feeling fantastic. Now, again, what I've been doing in my office with this is I've created a video, and I actually don't do this with the eyes closed. I focus on the video. And in the video, there are certain scenes. There's, a car driving through the desert, and then there's, ocean waves in the middle of nowhere, and then there's an aerial view of the earth. And when I have played this 6 or 7 minute clip that I have using this as a technique, I find that their eyes close automatically at some point. It's at that point when their eyes close automatically, and I've never had anybody yet not close their eyes, that I can then deepen the trance, that I can then create this suggestive therapy. So it's a tool, I think, that makes hypnosis kind of interesting and an experience for people. Now, I want to share with you another induction, and the reason I want to share this one with you is because it's different than everything else. So in most hypnosis sessions, we sort of structure it this way. Here's the pre-talk, then here's the induction, then here's the deepener, which is really an extension of the induction, but that's where we deepen trance, which is, of course, as we know, only a metaphor anyway. Then we go into the suggestive therapy. Maybe indirect suggestion, parable, story, metaphor. Direct suggestion, you will do this, you won't do that, right? You won't smoke cigarettes, you will breathe fresh air, right? You won't eat Twinkies, you will eat turnips. Or direct suggestion. Maybe we'll use a technique here, and an NLP technique. Imagine yourself walking into a movie theater, right? So we create an experiential thought process for them. So we have our suggestive therapy. Then we have our trance ratification, right, where maybe we'll produce or elicit phenomena, because we're going to spend most of tomorrow talking about eliciting phenomena, like hypnotic amnesia or something like that. And then we'll give them post-hypnotic suggestions, things to act on when they leave the session, and then we reorient them. So that's the basic sort of process or structure of a hypnosis session. The cool thing about the 32 doors induction is it does something completely different. Your clients, especially for a second or third or fourth session, can go through this process, and it's a unified process. It's a story, it's an experience, and the induction and the deepener and the suggestions are all just one. So the idea for this induction actually came to me from a quote that I saw from Joel Osteen. And people have mixed feelings about religious characters and figures. I'm not a Joel Osteen fan, I'll admit that. But I liked this quote. And the quote was, imagine you knew you had 32 doors to go to before you would find your open door, and you were at door number 8, what would you do? You'd go on through it, wouldn't you? So that was the quote. That was the message. And that story, or the imagery associated with that, I thought was pretty powerful. So I actually created a hypnosis recording for a second session for smoking cessation. So the first session, they become a non-smoker, and the second session, we're ratifying the change that has taken place because they haven't smoked. Right? It's been more than 24 hours. And so I'm giving you the script that's actually from that audio recording, but I've had the chance to go through this with several other clients with several other issues as second or third or fourth sessions, and the results have been pretty cool. People love this. And so it's a way of making hypnosis more interesting for me. So you could, since I gave you a script for it, follow the script if you wanted to, and you could start out your hypnosis session by saying, inspirational speaker Joel Osteen has said, you have to come to your closed doors before you get to your open doors. What if you knew you had to come through 32 doors before you got to your open door? Well, you'd come to door number 8 and you'd think, great, I got another one out of the way, and you would keep on going. This is a case of know your client. You know, some clients are just not fans of inspirational speakers or ministers. So maybe I won't tell them the background of where this comes from. It doesn't really make a difference. With different people, it's appropriate. With different people, it's perhaps not appropriate or necessary to share this. And so I will tell my clients, this is exactly, you should have a copy of this somewhere.
No, I've got it.
You got it? Okay, great. And so I'll tell my clients that this is exactly what they've done. They've gotten through many doors and they've become a non-smoker. They've gotten to that 30-second door. Attempts to quit smoking or cutting down were one door they came to. Cold turkey was another doorway. Resolutions were another doorway. All of these doors closed. But now, you're a non-smoker. You've arrived at your destination, and the hard work is behind you. You have at least 24 hours of success. This can be adapted to weight loss or any other issue. And maybe you even had 32 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours of being a non-smoker or not gorging on Twinkies or whatever it is our clients do. This is important for clients. A lot of clients feel that they've wasted their time or effort and they wish that they had done this sooner. So the 32 doors induction is a great metaphor for letting them know that those previous doors weren't wasted experiences. They brought them to where they are today. I think that's really important for change work, to ratify the regret that they have was a part of the process to bring them to where they are right now, which is abundant and full and wonderful and fantastic. None of that was wasted time or energy. The doors you needed to go through to get to the last door are what you needed to do to get to where you are today. In fact, I bet there was a time when those doors led to your success, even for a day or two, or a week or two, where you lost a couple of pounds. So the question isn't, can you quit smoking? You've already done that. Can you lose weight? You've already done that. By the way, with my weight loss clients, I give them all this suggestion. You will weigh yourself tomorrow and discover you're 1 pound lighter. That always works, and it's a powerful convincer. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, first thing you're going to do is you're going to weigh yourself and you discover that you're 1 pound lighter. Now, it's sort of a physiological trick here. We always weigh less in the morning, right? But even my clients who recognize that that's a mathematical, physiological reality is powerful for them because they are lighter today than they were yesterday. And I want my clients to weigh themselves when they get home so they have a starting point. A lot of my weight loss clients tell me they haven't been on a scale in a long time. They don't know how much they weigh. So I want them to have that starting point. And I want them to see success, that tomorrow they're already 1 pound lighter, right? So I let my clients know that success isn't something they can have, it's something they already have. And then the induction begins. Go ahead and close your eyes. And I take them through a process of going through 32 doors. Now that could be a 4-hour hypnosis session. So some of the doors I actually use as deepener. You know how in hypnosis we might say, I'll count backwards from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. There's no reason why I can't say, and imagine now going through door 12, 13, 14, 15, to a higher level of awareness. We don't always have to go to a deeper level of trance. We can actually go to a higher level of awareness, right? In fact, sometimes it's fun to take our clients to a higher level and to count numbers up than it is to go to a deeper level and count numbers down. So in this induction, I can do that as well. So go ahead and close your eyes. Let's go through an abbreviated form of this process. I'm not going to go through all 10 pages of it here in this class. But imagine now you're standing in front of a closed door. You know you have to pass through this door to get to where you want to go, but when you knock, nobody answers. It is a closed door. But you have a key that'll open the door. So in your mind, imagine unlocking the closed door, opening it, and walking through. The door leads to a large room filled with interesting art and furniture and colors and sounds and music. And imagine taking a seat on the recliner in this room and just enjoying the relaxing ambiance. And in this place and this space, you've unlocked the first door of your new life. And you can just relax in this space. And it's a perfect place to practice mindfulness, just being present. Your conscious mind obviously wants to know what's on the other side of the door. But right now you can practice what we learned before we began this session, or what we learned in the last session. And just study the breath, be in this moment. What a perfect place to really relax. As the mind wanders and thinks, maybe looking beyond the next door, use this as a cue to bring your attention back to the breath. In this time and place, just be relaxed. Nowhere to go and nothing to do. Letting yourself go deeper into this moment. Each number, each breath, a cue to stop chasing your thoughts and to enjoy this moment. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Feels pretty good, doesn't it? No stress, no worries. Letting go absolutely of any expectations. Go ahead now, open your eyes, open your eyes, open your eyes, open your eyes. Feels pretty good, doesn't it? Another closed door, door number 2. But this door requires no key. You have already unlocked it by mastering being present in the moment and being mindful. And so close your eyes again and imagine as you walk through this door, you're entering a room filled with white light and energy that empowers you. And imagine that the healing energy of the room literally clears your body from any damage, smoking or overeating or whatever the presenting issue is, might have done, and discover a renewed spirit of hope, knowing that by going through this door you've done something wonderful for your body and that your body has begun healing in every way and every day, getting better and better, to quote Emile Coué. Go ahead and go through the next closed door, the door of identity. In the past, you identified as a smoker, looking for restaurants that permitted smoking, avoiding places where you couldn't smoke. Maybe you even collected accoutrements of smoking, Camel Cash. Looked for t-shirts. And in your younger days, smoking was part of who you were, ingrained in your identity. The cigarette ads showing a independent woman or a debonair man. Marketers, of course, have studied hypnosis. They know that these imprints, conscious and subconscious, influence our choices. And in some ways, by opening this door, you're actually dehypnotizing yourself from the messages of the tobacco industry, some overt and some covert. At this point, almost 10% of the 32 doors are open. Mindfulness, healing, and identity. And it might even seem counterintuitive to go deeper. And so imagine the next door is up a few steps. And when you open this fourth door, the closed door, which we'll call commitment and action, you discover a pathway of closed doors, each taking you to a higher level of consciousness and a higher level of awareness and a higher level of success. Passing through the fifth door, the sixth door, the seventh door, all the way through successive doors to door number 13. And with each closed door opened, it gets easier and easier to move to the end. Past 15, 16, and 17, 18, 19, and 20, all the way through door number 30. And at door number 31, you find the door is unlike the rest. It requires a palm print to open. It's a new technology door. Hold your palm to the scanner, unlocking and opening the 31st door. By opening the door, you have a new freedom, a new hope, and all of the power you need to enter into a new chapter of life. And ask yourself, am I ready? And when you are, go through the 32nd door, but unlike the rest, the door is open. All you need to do is walk through it. Go ahead and walk through this doorway and discover that this is your open door, a new chapter of life. Never looking back and needing to face those closed doors again. It was worth having to open them, passing through each, making new discoveries. But now you have an open door where the possibilities are limitless. And again, I've abbreviated this induction and the suggestions, the deepeners embedded within the script that I've provided, simply so that we're not doing an entire 32-minute session here in this class. But if your eyes aren't open yet, go ahead and open your eyes now. Feeling energized, taking a breath. Stretch out any muscles that need to be stretched. And open the eyes knowing that that door remains open. And so this is a pretty cool induction. Because it is induction. It is deepener. And it is suggestive therapy combined into one process. So rather than separating them out and trying to get through the induction so that we can get to the good stuff, we start with the good stuff. Door number 1 is mindfulness. Door number 2 is identity. Door number 3 is commitment. Those are 3 keys to making successful and lasting change.